Welcome everyone to Don't Waste Your Crisis. I'm a digital avatar speaking for Pastor Compton. I've seen so many heavy hearts and have spoken to or counseled several of you individually, listening to the shock, the profound grief, and the deep disorientation that comes when a career abruptly ends or simply refuses to get started. But we needn't stay there. We have gathered here to find a path forward, to find healing, and to discover how we can navigate through this incredibly painful chapter of our lives together. We only need to look at the headlines from the local and national news over the past 10 days to see that unpredictability is the defining characteristic of our modern era. It feels as though the ground is constantly shifting beneath our feet, leaving us vulnerable, terrified, and questioning our own fundamental value. When the normalcy we are accustomed to is suddenly stripped away, desperation can easily set in, eroding our sense of self-worth and our perception of who we actually are. To help us navigate these turbulent waters, I want to lean heavily on some profound insights from my book, Thrive During Uncertain Times. Throughout this work, I remind readers that we are not the first to have our lives completely upended. And more importantly, I offer the profound assurance that we can not only survive these devastating career disruptions, but actually thrive through them. My book points to the biblical story of Joseph to illustrate how abrupt life shifts and career shakeups do not have to destroy our core identity. Joseph experienced what I call the dark and empty well crisis, where he went from being a favored son to being betrayed, thrown into a pit, and sold as a commodity to nomads. Joseph was repeatedly forced to redefine himself occupationally, from a favored son to a servant, to being a prisoner falsely accused by his captain's wife, and eventually to a leader in Pharaoh's palace. Whether you have been pushed out of your company like an ousted executive, or you find your hard-earned skills bypassed by an AI algorithm, your true worth is never determined by your current occupational status or earthly normalcy. One of the most powerful concepts introduced in my book, Thrive During Uncertain Times, is the analogy of the log and the fire. It explains that we should view our earthly life, including our careers, our accomplishments, and our daily routines, merely as a log. The fire that burns on that log represents our true spirit, our inner life, and our spiritual identity. If you lose your job, or if your chosen industry collapses under the weight of an economic crisis, it is simply that the log has been displaced or taken away. Our soul's responsibility is to keep the fire roaring, regardless of the log's situation. Therefore, do not neglect your inner fire just because your outer log has changed. Focusing solely on the log of your lost career will only leave you feeling that life is entirely meaningless. So, how do we practically move forward when our careers are stalled or shattered? My book advises us to perform a thorough skill inventory. In it, I reference the parable of the shrewd manager who, upon learning he was about to lose his job, immediately inventoried his abilities to prepare for his new, uncertain reality. Look back at the times that felt certain and ask yourself, in what tasks did I excel? Or what work processes did I enjoy? Or what causes was I naturally sympathetic? Then translate those past experiences into brand new opportunities. Like, as an entrepreneur, match them to the current needs of other people, or match them to an employer's job posting. You must leverage those skills to redefine yourself, using them like water that fuels a hydro-powered plant, instead of allowing your loss to function as a water that drowns you. However, there's a warning in Thrive During Uncertain Times. Embracing a new normal requires that we anticipate being vulnerable and bravely step outside of our established comfort zones. To illustrate this, I share the brilliant lesson of the lobster. A lobster's skeletal system is on the outside of its body, so in order to grow, it must completely shed the comfort and safety of its old skeleton, leaving its soft flesh highly vulnerable to the treacherous elements of the sea. But if the lobster refuses to shed its shell, that very skeleton will become its tomb. You must take the risk of shedding your old professional identity, no matter how terribly uncomfortable the transition feels. This transition requires what I describe as an introspective migration. We must migrate away from a mindset where our identity is completely entangled with our past career achievements, where our assurance was rooted in doing rather than being, as well as migrate away from the trap of extreme thinking, torturing yourself with thoughts like, had I started in this field earlier, I would have kept my job. You are asking the wrong questions and getting the wrong answers. Instead of asking, why me? Or why did you allow this to happen? I challenge you to ask yourself, how can I be of service in my current state of uncertainty without giving in to worry? In my book, we are reminded that fear and doubt are nothing more than the roars of a toothless and clawless lion meant to paralyze us and prevent us from completing our journey. I realize the pain of an ended career is incredibly sharp, and I know the anxiety of a stalled start is heavy on your shoulders. But please hear this final piece of encouragement. Do not waste your crisis. Rather, use it to redefine yourself. Your past experiences, your education, and your prior professional accomplishments have not been wasted. They are vital lessons, powerful testimonies, and essential tools that you can leverage as you migrate to the new you. Resist the tendency to judge yourself by the temporal standards of this world. Doing so will leave you feeling used, worthless, and stripped of all dignity, when you are, in fact, a beautiful work in progress. Like a lump of coal placed under immense pressure and time, this excruciating period of uncertainty is exactly the environment needed to bring forth your new identity as a brilliant diamond. Take heart, perform your skill inventory, protect your inner fire, and be willing to shed your old shell so that you may truly grow. We will walk forward together, supporting one another and finding our true worth, not in the professional titles we once held, but in the enduring fire of our shared humanity. Buy the book, Thrive, During Uncertain Times on Amazon.com